Hi everyone, it's Karen with part 2 of Miss Paul and the President. You remember last time we left Alice in the office of President Wilson, making her argument for the women's vote. But President Wilson thought his other business was more important. And so we'll pick up there now. President Wilson got to work on his problems. Alice got to work too. She opened an office in Washington, D.C. for a new group called the National Women's Party. Thousands of women joined. They called Alice their dear little leader. And here is the president with his very dour statesman working on their problems. And here is the National Women's Party making signs, getting ready to persuade other people. The dear little leader wanted to show the president that women's rights were as important as anything else in the United States. She would do it by making mischief, just as she had on the farm. A funny-looking train chugged from the East Coast to the West Coast. Alice had named it the Suffrage Special. The train stopped in towns along the way, and families came out to gawk at it. Women made speeches from the caboose. Send a letter to the president. Tell him to support women's right to vote. And there's the old-fashioned train. And you know what a caboose is? A caboose is the very last car on the train. And at the back of it, there was a little platform where people could stand and make speeches, which is just what they did. President Wilson got bags of letters from all around the country. They piled up to the ceiling in his office. But the president had other problems to worry about. He didn't take time to read the letters about women's suffrage, but Margaret did. That winter, Margaret sat next to her father in the president's car. A strange sight greeted them at the White House. Women strode back and forth, carrying signs. President Wilson spotted Alice at the front of the group. She looked him right in the eye. The president glanced down at his newspaper, but Margaret waved at Alice through the window. And so you see, they are protesting and demonstrating in front of the White House. We saw that this year, didn't we? Alice and her friends paced in front of the White House day after day in the freezing cold. People lined the sidewalks to see the hullabaloo. Some of them jeered, but many cheered. They brought scarves and mittens to keep the women warm. Look, the newspaper. Oh, here. The police ordered Alice to leave the White House grounds. Not until the president supports the women's right to vote, she declared. The police put the women in handcuffs and took them off to jail, just as Alice hoped they would. The newspaper says, Alice Paul gets out of jail. Says women plan to keep getting arrested until president listens. But I'm telling you, they didn't get out of jail immediately. They had a hard time there in the jail. President Wilson did not like the thought of Alice in jail. He knew she loved the United States. Why else would she go to all this trouble to vote in her country's elections? Maybe women's suffrage is more important than I thought, he said. Margaret looked her father right in the eye. See Margaret there? She's become an advocate. just the way Alice Paul had. "Yes, to the vote for women," she said. Alice stood with others from the National Women's Party. She wondered what the president would say. Woodrow Wilson adjusted his spectacles. Margaret straightened his tie. "People all over the country will read about your speech," she said. "You should look your best." The president faced the crowd. "The time is right. I will ask Congress to pass a law giving women the right to vote." A very important speech. The women waved yellow handkerchiefs and threw yellow flowers. "3 cheers for President Wilson," they shouted. "And 3 cheers for Alice Paul." Two years later, Alice skipped down Pennsylvania Avenue to vote in the 1920 election. She filled out her ballot and raised her arm in victory. And that was 100 years ago. This month of November, when the United States holds its elections, as we just did. You know, Alice Paul followed a bunch of other suffragists who went before her and laid the groundwork for women to have equal rights. And one of them was Susan B. Anthony. This coin shows Susan B. Anthony's head. I'll show it to you. It was created in 1979 to honor the women suffragists. It was a silver dollar that wasn't silver, with a funny edge to it, and it never caught on in the United States. So it's something of a relic. But Susan B. Anthony was really the mother of women's suffrage, along with Elizabeth Cady Stanton and some others. And she came from upstate New York. Well, that's it for today. You can learn a lot more about them if you want to look them up online. I'm so glad we could do this. And I will look forward to seeing you next time.